chapter 2, verse 25 to chapter 3, verse 7. Reading. For ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls. Ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of the plaiting of hair, and of wearing of gold, or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, even as a weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. May God bless the reading of His word. Let us all pray. Our gracious, loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for a safe journey to thy house tonight, and for seeing us through yet another week in this world. We come asking for your forgiveness and cleansing of all our sins. And Lord, may this night be a night of learning and a night where lives are transformed in our thinking in thy house. Father, we pray that your Holy Spirit will be our teacher. Help us to understand how we ought to live, how we ought to think, how we ought to behave. Lord, even as these ones are not married yet, we pray that these young ones would learn about marriage, understand it, know how to choose in life. And Father, we also pray that you'll be with the facilitators downstairs. Lord, may you use your word tonight to feed your sheep, establish your church, the lives of thy children, so that your kingdom's work will be done according to your will. Be with us, remove all distraction and tiredness. Lord, we pray. Capture our hearts with thy word, in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, so we reach this part where we've been studying about marriage. Now, do not forget, 1 Peter, up to this point, is addressing our life as what on earth? Gracia, we are what on earth? Strangers and pilgrims. Very good. All right, so remember, God is talking about the Christians as strangers and pilgrims, as you have seen in chapter 2, right? Verse 11. Chapter 2, verse 11, let's read together. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. Then he begins this whole series of things that he said the Christian must live by. So we learn about submission in the place of work, submission in the country to government, submission to authority, submission to our bosses. And now we learn about submission to God in the marriage. So the wife is to submit to the husband. And that is God's model for the marriage, right? God's model for the marriage. So the wife submitting to the husband is her submitting to to God's model. And then God gives instruction to the husbands. Look at verse 7. So we've studied about the wife already, right? Now then God says now, likewise, it means husbands, likewise you submit to God when it comes to what He expects you to be to your wife. You better submit to God about that. And what is it? Well, the husband is to dwell with them according to knowledge, in verse 7, giving honor to the wife as unto a weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life. All right, so that is the husband's role. Now we are going to first quickly do a revision and then study what is not the right honor. Okay, so we've studied much about what is honoring the husband. So the girls must be listening, because maybe I'll ask you, why must you know? All right, next. Anna, why must the girls know what is the correct honor towards a wife? Very good. So if I get married, I must understand what is the right kind of honor. All right? But you're not married yet, so why learn this?
So we can teach.
So that you can teach grace. So you can teach what? So you can teach yourself how to choose the right husband, right? Because you must understand what God commands the husband, and if the man is not, from your view, able to meet those criteria, then you say forget it. Correct? No matter how you like the person, how popular the person is, you say forget it. And also after you're married, you know what is the correct honor. Correct? So men, you are going to live this out if God calls you to marriage. So you must understand what is honor and what is not the correct honor as well. Now let us begin by a quick revision first. Okay, so I asked the older ones. Josiah, what does it mean to honor? Husbands, honor your wife. So one day if God calls you to marriage, you must honor your wife. What does honor mean? What does honor mean? Okay, I think the girls are worried. Alright, next. CJ.
To treasure them as precious.
Treasure them as precious, alright? That is one way to remember it. Now, I mentioned this word honor. What is this word honor? Joshua, do you remember? Value. Value is whose name? Aaron, do you remember whose name is this in Greek? Timothy. Alright? The Greek word for honor is Timei. Timothy's name. Timothy's name. Now, so the word means value. Value. Remember that. Because if you don't know the word, how are you going to choose your wife? Is she someone that you are going to value? And why is it important to understand? So value means the person has certain value, right? That's why you treasure as precious, correct? You value. In fact, I think I should make sure I draw it up and hopefully it helps you to remember. So, honor means value. Alright, stated in another way. That's exactly what it means. Value. Now, is it respect? Okay, so very often say, make sure you respect your wife. Is honor, what's the difference between respect and this word? Ask the next person. Alright, so I'll come back to the front. Caleb, what's the difference between value and respect? Value has a price. Has a price, okay. Respect has no price. Respect? Showing something, alright, you show. Alright, so respect is you show something. Alright? Now, until you value, you may not respect. Okay, so God is using a far more important word than respect. So it's more than respect. Understand that. And it is important to remember that, because when we study about what is honoring your wife, which we have done, and what is not honoring your wife, unless you remember it means value, you will not know how to think. Alright, as a wife, one day, and as a husband, one day. So it's value. Now, I have to ask, why does God say value her? Why does God say value her? Caleb. Cornelius. Say again? God puts her under your care. Alright, God puts her under your care. Now, the wife is, if you look at the Bible, she's a joint heir, right? She's a joint heir. Means Jesus Christ died for her as well. She's a child of God. She is valuable to God. And God puts her under your care. So, when God puts you under the headship, okay, so ladies, when God puts you under the headship of someone, He is not saying you're not valuable and the man is more valuable. God says, man, value your wife because she is my child. And I have great plans for her. That I have great usefulness for her. And I chose you to take care of her. I put her under you to take care of her. So that is value. So number one, that is value. But why? So besides the fact, right, she is an heir of the kingdom of God, so she's a child of God. Why else is she valuable? Enoch, why do you think a woman, and God says this woman will be married to you, why is she valuable? Say again. Can't hear you. She will help you. Okay. Okay. All right. You still give the same answer. Maybe she is your helper. All right. It is true. It's biblical because God says Eve was made for an help that is suited for Adam. She is precious because she will help you to do what? Help you to clean the house, wash the floor, iron your clothes. Okay, try again. The last time you made the same mistake. She will help you for what? I'm staying at you. Why is she valuable as a help to you? Very good. So that you, the husband, she is a helper to help you serve God better. All right, and to help you serve God better. So understand this, husbands, you must value her because God has chosen her. And ladies, understand this, you are valuable because your value is in enabling him to serve God better. How to serve God better? For example, in the home, lead you spiritually, guide you spiritually. All right? For example, bring up godly seed for the kingdom of God. So she is the person that God says, I'm tasking you to serve me in the church, or serve me and definitely serve me in your home, and serve me by taking care of her. I am using her to help you do all this. All right? So whatever physical thing she does for you, that is not the end. Her value is not the end value of her is not just physical. The end value of her is always spiritual to God and to you. Understand that? All right? Okay, good. I think you know an answer, but you take a bit of prodding. All right? So please remember this word value. Now, in fact, please turn to 1 Peter chapter 3. Now, how does God say a wife that submits to the husband, that helps the husband? Now, what does God say you are? What does God say you are? Look at verse 4. In the sight of God of great price. Great price. Now, God is still talking about value. Value. In fact, Caleb chose a good word, price. God himself said you are of great price. So don't see being a wife in submission to your husband, helping him, is something that is bad. God say, no, I'm telling your husband, it is valuable. He better value it. And you are precious if you fulfill it. All right? So with that revision, so the word is value. All right? So Josiah must remember, value. Not just respect. Now, out of that, we learn. Out of that, respect is part of showing that. Well, these guys are good tonight. Right? Showing that you value her. So, but it is not just respect. Understand that when you value, you will respect. Okay? Now, actually, you can show respect to someone at work, but does it mean you value the person? Not necessarily. All right. So God chooses a very careful word because now there is a different Greek word for respect, like someone respect another person, giving due respect to another person. There's a different Greek word altogether. It's not Timothy. It's not Timei. Okay? It's not Timei. Now, with that, then I think we are in a better position with this revision to study what is not the right honor. So last week we studied previous time we studied what is honor, right? Actually, maybe I just very quickly. Now, do you remember what else? What do you do, Matthew? When you honor your wife, what are some of the things you would do? When you value her. Okay, look at the Bible. Like unto a, value her like unto a weaker vessel. Means you protect her, right? You protect her, you provide for her. You're very careful in how you deal with her, all right? So because you value her, right? Weaker vessel means yes, they can be emotionally weaker. They are more sensitive. So you have to be careful with your words, with your treatment, and all that. Okay, so that is one example, and also it means that you must. And okay, maybe I ask the next one. Enoch, not Enoch. Isaac, do you remember what else? No. Okay, while you check, I asked maybe the ladies. I'm sure you remember. All right, CP. What about something about honor? The question is, what are some examples of the husband honoring the wife? So we said protection, physical protection, because weaker vessel, care for her, provide for her. All right. Leading her spiritually, very good. Where do you get that? Chapter 3, look at chapter 3. Now, verse 7. First, God says, giving her honor unto the wife as unto a weaker vessel. Now, these are physical things you do. God says, please don't just honor her with your lips. Right? Just say, I love you, I value you. God says, do physical things to show that. But it is not the end, all right? It is not just physical things. God and as being heirs together of the grace of life, being heirs together. God said this heirs together means it's about heavenly purposes, right? You live on earth, care for her like a very fragile vessel that can break on earth. But remember, she's an heir of heaven. She is just heavenly purposes, right? So value her, honor her. How do you value her? Make sure that you lead her spiritually. Lead spiritually. Now, there is another place in the Bible that talks about this. The husband must, okay, next one. Please, husband, love your wives and be willing to die for her. That is the physical part, yes, for example. And also spiritual. And then, very good. Sanctify her as Christ sanctified the church. Sanctify. Now, this is what it means. A husband who says, I value you, I honor you, not only takes care of all the physical things and very careful in how he handles her. A husband who only thinks about that but forgets she's an heir of heaven means he does not sanctify her. He does not lead her spiritually. Then he has failed. He has failed totally. Because all the physical things that God asks you to do for her, let me ask you, all the physical things that God asks you to do for her, she protect her, care for her, provide for her, make sure she trusts you, all right? That is what it means, a weaker vessel, that she trusts herself with you totally. Now, all these physical things as onto a weaker vessel, provide and so on. Now, all these physical things is for what purpose? For what purpose? You all don't need me to ask you. Is to lead to a spiritual purpose, right? Everything that God asks us to do physically on earth is for a spiritual purpose. Now, but why does God say, now do all these things for her, and how is it linked to the spiritual purpose? How? Right, a bit complex, but very important. Okay, I think Cherith, you missed those sessions. So you're spared, so it goes to your neighbor. Yes. Do you understand my question? No. Okay, I understand. I don't mind repeating this one because it's complex. All right. Now, so you're a wife. All right. Let's say husband. The Bible says you must honor me, means value me as a weaker vessel. Care for me, provide for me, protect me. Treat me respectfully and all that. Now, why do you ask for all that? Why do you want a man to do all that? The husband to do all that for you? You understand the question? Yeah, you guess. So why? You can guess an answer. Why? Don't know. Make me feel good. Okay, then I come back to the man, all right? Maybe I ask over here. Elim, do you remember why? You say, I want a husband that will do all this for me. When you choose, all right, when you choose, I will choose a husband a man that I know will do all this for me, rather than the tall, dark, handsome, whoever everyone chase after him kind of person. I rather choose such a person. Now, why? So that I can serve God. All right, very good. So that I can serve God. Okay, I think that is accurate in a way that I want to bring it across, so that I will serve God. Now, whenever you as a wife, one day, or when you're choosing, I want someone to care for me, protect me, love me, respect me. Now, so that I can be sanctified, so that I myself will serve God. Now, can you be successful in your own spiritual walk and being useful to God and serve God in the home, for example, especially, in fact, if you cannot trust your husband, if your husband makes it very difficult for you to pursue spiritual things, you can't. So the reason why you are looking for all this is because I want a husband that will encourage me, help me, support me, enable me. In other words, sanctify me to be spiritual, and so that I can be effective in bringing up godly seed, effective in my walk for God. All right, so that is why you're looking for such a person. Now, so men, please know. All right, I notice, men, I did not ask you all these questions because next part is all you. All right, because next part we're going to talk about all this. Okay, so the girls have understood why they choose this way. Now you have to understand what is not the right honor and why. Now, knowing these are the reasons, okay, let's come to our question. Question number 1. So what is the purpose of God commanding the husband to honor the wife? Now, do you remember that at every wedding, all right, at every wedding, I will ask the bridegroom first. I will say, so for example, Ichung is here, right? Wait, who got married later? Sujin, is it? Alright, I will say, remember what I said? Sujin, wilt thou have Shuning to be thy wedded wife? Remember I asked you that? To live together after God's ordinance in the holy estate of matrimony. Then you say, I will, alright? Then, wilt thou, do you remember after that? Love her, comfort her, honor, and keep her in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, keeping thee only unto her, so long as ye both shall live. And then you say, I will, right? Now, one of the things commanded according to scriptures and must be said is honor her. Will you honor her? Because God says you must honor her. Now, then it means this. You must understand. We talk about the physical thing. You must understand what's God's purpose of asking you to honor her and why you took that vow. Okay? Now, so what is the purpose? Okay, now I ask the men. Aaron. Do you want to get married one day, Aaron? Up to God's will. Very good answer. Okay? So you do not know, but you must be interested. So what is the purpose of honoring your wife? It is I just give you all the answers. So you just need to regurgitate. Why? For what purpose? for God's work, all right? So for God's work means it's for spiritual purpose. So the first thing I want you to write down to help you remember is, what is the purpose? It is a spiritual purpose. Because honoring on earth is a lot of physical things that you do. But you must remember it's for a spiritual purpose. Okay? Now, honor her. Now, both men and women must understand this. Now, so one is for spiritual purposes. Alright, spiritual purposes. Now, what are some of the spiritual purposes that we have spoken here? God's kingdom's work. Right? Kingdom's work. Sanctify her. Alright, we already said that. Please remember these headings, because this will guide you. After I'll ask you some questions. Is this honoring her or not? Then based on this, you will be able to decide. Alright? So for the girls, the same, you know. If you don't know the reason, then you say, is this honoring to you? You may feel that, yes, but it may not. You may say, no, but it may be. Alright? But once you understand the reason, you will be clear. Is this honoring you or not? Okay, now, so is always, and then, now with this, in other words, when you put this together, ensure that she, as an heir of heaven, she fulfills God's purpose for her, for the kingdom. So you must sanctify her, make her godly, so that she will fulfill her role as an heir of God's kingdom. And when she is married, she has specific roles, very specific roles. Where will these roles mainly be found? Chloe. So Chloe, if one day you get married, all right, so your husband says, I want to sanctify you, Chloe, make you godly, make you holy, all right, so that you will fulfill God's kingdom's work. All the physical things, Chloe, I do for you is for this purpose, to make you godly, so you fulfill God's kingdom's work. For the wife, where is God's kingdom's work mainly found? Where? In the... You say, because your cousin said, so that I can serve God, right? Means God's kingdom's work, right? Then you look at cousin, serve God where? Which country do you want to go to? Right? So where, for the wife, where is the kingdom's work mainly going to be after marriage? In the... Say again? Don't know. Alright, next. Try. Jennifer, where? In the house, in the home. In the home. Alright? In the home. That is where it's mainly going to be. So that is why God tells the wife, keepers of home. Alright? Keepers of home. That is where your great value is going to be. Your value is going to be, your value for God's kingdom is going to be in the home. In what way in the home is going to appear? How does it occur in the home, for example? Next. Veronica. In the home. What is the value in the home? One of the very important value that mommy has to you is to bring you shopping. No, bring you to be very good. Bring you up to be godly seed, not bring you shopping and holidays. All right. Bring you up to be godly seed. So ensuring that you bring up godly seed and so on. All right. So some of these things. But the key is this. All right. So men and ladies, please, I hope that you understand. When God says the husband to honor you, and men, when God tells you to honor her, for what purpose? To sanctify her. Because she's an heir of the kingdom of God, right? But it does not stop there. Because sanctify her for there must be an end purpose. Sanctification is for his kingdom, for his kingdom's work. Now that will guide you every time you do anything physical. That will guide you to think. And ladies, every time you expect your husband to do something or not do something, that will also guide you. Alright? So that is why I spent some time asking you to remember value. Your value to God is ultimately here. God is not saying you're valuable to me because you're so cute, you're so adorable, you're so worth it, and therefore I died for you. No, God died for you, and therefore you became, God paid a price for you, God paid a price for you and made you valuable. And your value after marriage is, for the kingdom soul, is predominantly in the home, for example, right? Now, then with that, so you understand that, right, men? So the value is up there. Sanctify her. How do you honor her? Purpose is, the end purpose is to, maybe I put it this way. Now, you fail to honor her. Right? This is important for the future questions. You fail to honor your wife if you don't sanctify her. Understand that. You fail to honor your wife if you don't sanctify her. Because honor is not about showing her respect, treating her nice, that's all. No. Honor is bringing her value to what it's supposed to be. Understand that? I want to say that again. Honor her means make sure the value for which God died for her really is fully realized in her life. Matthew is totally lost. Matthew, do you understand what I just said? Okay, Matthew. If I say, Matthew, this is a plant, right? This is a plant. Okay, Matthew. Now, this plant can produce very sweet apple. No, plant produce what fruit? I don't know. Produce very sweet grapes. All right, this vine produce very sweet grapes. Now, this is very valuable to me, Matthew. All right. Now, so I say, Matthew, please value her. Means please take care of her. Please make sure that this plant will produce a lot of what? A lot of grapes, right? If it's a grape, produce a lot of grapes, right? That is what I'm trying to tell you. So make sure you value her. Bring the maximum value out of her. All right? Then I leave it with you. Okay? Now, what is your key duty then? Make sure it produces maximum grapes and the best grapes, correct? So please understand this, ladies. When God say, I want the husband to honor you, He is telling the husband, make sure you bring out in you, make sure He brings out in you the maximum value. You are a child of God. Make sure He brings out the maximum value, okay, in you. And as a wife, you have special responsibilities, okay? So husband, understand this principle first. Understand this principle first. Now then, we move to question number 2. Now, why is it important for both men and women to understand the purpose of honoring the wife? Now, why do you think so? Now, these days, we live in a time where the women's liberation movement has changed women's thinking to an unbiblical thinking, all right? Now, there are things in women's liberation movement that are not wrong, okay, that are not wrong. But those that are inconsistent with God's word, then they are wrong. Please remember that. Okay? So, now because of that, women begins to think, my value, what is considered honoring to me as a woman is defined by the world, not God. Alright? So, over time, for example, certain things that God says, like, women, submit to your own husband. When you do so, you are a precious treasure to me. But the world says submitting to a man is demeaning, is unequal, is terrible, is cave age. All right, we don't live like that anymore. So to them, the women's liberation movement changes this whole concept in women. Okay, now. But do you think it has changed the men? CJ. All right, CJ, very tired. CJ, do you think women's liberation have changed men?
Yes.
So you wake up, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there'll be lots of people who call themselves feminists.
Men call themselves feminists.
Yeah.
All right? Yes. So now why is it important for us to understand as Christians? Because just like the woman's thinking can change, please don't think that the women liberation movement have only changed women. It has also changed men. Changed Christian men on how we think. Now please remember, anything that is consistent with the Word of God is fine. Anything that's not consistent with the Word of God is wrong. Okay, we just need to remember that. Whether it's towards men or towards women, it's the same. Okay? Now, so because the society have changed both the man, the husband and the wife, it is very important that we remember what this word means. Okay? That's why I took some time with this. Now, it means that the wife can expect wrong kind of honor, correct? Because of the feminist movement, the wife can expect the wrong kind of honor. Okay. Then and the man can give the wrong kind of honor. Because the world, my colleagues, and I read in newspaper and politicians say, this is how the world says it is honoring to women, and then you also do it the same way, even if it's against God's word. Alright, so that's question number 2. Just a lead-in. Alright, just a lead-in. Now, then question number 3. Now, with the purpose of why you must honor your wife, which is question number 1, and the picture up there. Now, what does honor your wife not mean, and why? What does it not mean? So now you'll understand this and have this picture in your mind. And every physical thing that you do is for a spiritual purpose. Now, with that picture in your mind, then we have to ask, what is wrong understanding of honoring my wife? What does it not mean? Do you understand the question, Josiah? Understand? Alright. So women, you have to pay attention as well. Men, you have to pay attention as well. So you don't expect the wrong thing, and men do not do the wrong thing. Alright. So it does not mean ... Does not mean that honoring your wife does not mean that... Don't get it, huh? Okay, maybe I'll try another one. Okay, very young. Come to this side. Maybe Sujin. Honoring your wife does not mean... Alright, giving in to all her whims and fancies. Alright, giving in to all her whims and fancies. Alright, Ichu?
That's like showering her with worldly goods.
Say again.
Showering her with worldly goods.
Okay, does not mean showering her with worldly goods. Because God says, right, the godly woman, what's the godly woman? The godly woman is dressed up in gold and apparel and all that. No, the godly woman adorns herself, right, modestly, and is not obsessed with expensive things. So the husband, in the context, honoring her does not mean if I work very hard and then I buy her all the branded goods, and then when she walks out, she is brighter than the sun, then I have honored her and protected and provide for her. And then all her friends look at her and say, wow, your diamond ring is too dazzling for me. Please keep it, alright? Then you have honored her. No, alright? So yes, that's an example. Now, so please, ladies, if at your wedding, alright, then now it's time to exchange the ring. Alright, then he takes out the ring. And then find that, where's the diamond? I need to take out a magnifying glass. Alright? Then you get very angry. Who's going to marry you? Now, so I'm sure you're not like that, but please do not let the concept that, husband, if you don't buy me that, you don't love me. Correct? Wait, young ones, Phoebe, if you want something very much and you tell daddy, Daddy, mommy, can you please buy me that bicycle? And then mommy says, no, we cannot afford it and it's not necessary. What do you say? You don't love me. No, you say, it's okay. Alright? It's alright. I'm just asking, that's all. And it doesn't mean they don't love you, right? Right? Okay. So yes, a good example. Now, I want to say these things because subconsciously, sometimes the man feels that because of a failure to understand, all the physical things that you do has a spiritual purpose. Remember that, right? It's always for a spiritual purpose. Not buying her a big diamond ring, right? Big diamond ring, all right? What's the spiritual purpose? So you understand now, value. It does not fulfill a spiritual purpose. Now, in fact, it might cause a problem, correct? You might, instead of sanctifying her, you make her more worldly, correct? Okay, so that's an example. Yes, so I think earlier on, doesn't mean you agree to all her whims and fancies. Okay, good. Next one, Aaron. What does it not mean? Or maybe I start with question number 5, all right? Maybe I start with question number 5. Actually, I intended to do question number 5 first. All right. So Aaron. Okay. If you know that your wife does not like doing or not doing something, if you know that your wife does not like or like doing something, would you tell her what she should do? Especially when it's going to be a very unhappy conversation. You understand the question?
Well, depends on what's that something question.
Depends on what that something is. So depends on what?
Something could be something spiritual, something that is sensual.
Okay, so if something that is spiritual, that's good for her and she wants to do it, the husband should not say it. But it is necessary kind of thing. Okay, it is necessary. Joshua, what about you?
I think if it's necessary, you should not be avoided, but it should still be done respectfully.
Okay. It should be done what?
Respectfully, gently.
Tell her respectfully, gently, in the right way, all right? In the right way. Okay. Now, maybe I come to CJ. CJ, is something that is not sinful, but she really wants to do it, but you don't want her to do it.
And I don't want her to do it for a good reason.
Don't ask so many questions.
Okay, assuming I have the more spiritual reason, then we would have to discuss what train of thought is, perhaps a barrier. What's the barrier to?
Okay, so it's a situation now. All these are very real. Please understand. These are things that happen in marriage every day. Okay, so I'm asking you to be prepared and really know how to think as husband and wives. To be. Now, all right. So you just said you have the more spiritual reason, okay, the higher spiritual reason, and then you say we must discuss first. And why do you want to discuss?
Well, first, before I convince her, persuade her to do the thing, or not to do the thing, I hope that she will understand the rationale, and if she deviates from that, what's the consequence? We should be on the same page, so that, yeah.
Okay, so yes, so wait, ask the girls here. Do you agree? Wait, to the front now. Jerry, in that situation, you have a spiritual reason. He says his spiritual reason is higher, all right? And then he says, no, but I don't want you to do this, your future husband.
Give a
Scenario.
I'm just thinking like white toilet paper, what bread.
No, spiritual things, all right? So for example, you say, I want to go out with my friend to evangelize her tonight. Okay? All right? Then he says, oh no. Maybe this. I want to. In fact, I'll ask this later. We don't have children. All right? So I want to work. When I go and work, I can evangelize others as well. Then he just says, no, I don't want you to work. Don't work. But are you going to ask her more? Ask your wife in future? Say, explain to me why and all that? Yeah, okay. Now, so yes, along that line, if you ask for the reason, for the purpose to say, I need to understand why she's thinking about doing something or not doing something, so that I can help her understand, sanctify, help her understand why my reason is at this point of time, or this is more important to the home, for example, right? If you ask for that reason, fine. But if you ask because you are afraid. Now, I ask you this because the last time I asked, almost all the guys behind there, we must be loving, we must be understanding, we must talk, right? I don't know what we're thinking of. Are you someone who, now at the end of the day, if you have to tell your wife in the future as something that you know she doesn't like to hear, you know she will be upset, and tonight and tomorrow you got a long project at work, and you know you bring it up, tonight you can't sleep, right? It's a long conversation deep into night, all right? Those of you who have parents like that, you know, okay? And they say, never mind, don't talk about it. Okay? So we cannot be like that. Remember this, is to sanctify her, okay? And if it is something that you know has to be talked about, even though she'll be unhappy, you must deal with it. All right? Like, how would you feel when you do? Okay, maybe I ask you, how would you feel when you do? All right? So now you got to explain. You got to explain to your wife. Wait, no more men to ask. Men, Matthew. I know, over there. Caleb, all right? You need to, your wife wants to do that, but you know that is something that is not right for your family spiritually, is not so good. All right? Yeah, that's not sinful, but for your family, it's not spiritually the right thing. And then you have to talk about it and all that. And then, okay, wife, can we sit down? When you ask your wife to sit down, what are you feeling in your heart? No feeling. Okay. Next one, Cornelius, the brother. Any feeling? Maybe you have to stand for what?
What is better?
You have to stand for what is better. Is it?
Yes, spiritually.
You have to stand for what is spiritually better. Yes, that's important. Means you must not be afraid and say, well, I'm really afraid of this conversation. If I cannot convince her in the end, then she's very angry, then I'll just give in. You can't. You have to stand for, you have to make up your mind. You know biblically what is right. Now, at the end of the day, if there is really some good spiritual reason, that's different. Right? But you know, at the end of you have had this conversation many times about this topic, and you know this have to stop, and you have to deal with it, then you must make up your mind. I will not change, and this time we have to finalize it. Okay? Alright, so with that, I just want to test the water. How do you all feel first? Suddenly today all give the right answer. The other week when I say honor the wife, be understanding and all that. I'm not saying don't be understanding and all that. Alright, I'm not saying don't care. I'm not saying that. But we must be ready in those conversations to say, I am ready to have difficult conversations. Okay? Now, alright, so with that, I give you a very big hint already. Honoring your wife does not mean that. Next one. Enoch. Enoch. Honoring your wife does not mean that. Difficult. Does not mean that. If she's angry, if you know she'll be angry, then I don't talk about it. Say again, you still have to talk about it. So honoring your wife does not mean that if you know that something will upset her, but it needs to be dealt with. Now, honoring your wife does not mean that you must not talk about it just because it will upset her. Now, ladies, so please remember that. All right? Now, at the end of the day, you must come to a point where you realize that, well, difficult things still need to be talked about, and even if you're not happy, your husband may still need to talk about it, especially when it is a choice of spiritual things. We'll say more about that after. Now, let me ask you, what else? Now, is it unloving? Okay, Matthew, is it unloving to tell your wife, at the end of it, you have made a choice about something at home, it's not sinful, hers is not sinful, yours is not sinful. Okay? But at the end of the day, both may be equally good as well. At the end of the day, you say, well, do you feel that it's unloving to tell your wife, now at the end of the day, you need to submit? Is it unloving? I don't think so. Okay, why so uncertain?
It's like we're not being unloving, we're just trying to understand what to judge about.
All right, you're not being unloving, you're trying to understand what she's thinking about. But specifically now, at the end of the day, we have to understand this. Someone has to lead, someone has to make a decision. All right, even in your company, it's the same. Now, after the company make all the decisions and say, well, all this being equal, someone has to decide. Okay, if the husband chooses to decide that it will be his decision, in that choose to do what he wants to do. Sometimes he can choose what you do. All right, but if it comes to a point the husband say, well, let's go with this decision. You must not feel that I have not honored her, that I have that is unloving. All right, you have to make a decision because, well, sometimes it's the other way. You know, the wife get very frustrated because the husbands do not make decisions. How you decide? How you decide? How you decide? Everything don't want to decide. All right. Now, but at this point, okay, let me just quickly run through some other things. Now, maybe at this point, I will ask you the question. Look at this picture here. If you let her, if you feel that, well, if I honor her, I must be loving, caring, understanding. So always let her choose whatever she wants. All right? And especially when it's something that you know is a temptation to her. Okay, it's a temptation to her. Now, when you look at this picture, why is it not honoring to her? I repeat the question. Why is it not honoring to your wife when you say no to all those things that we said just now? Why? Josiah, why? Understand the question? Say again? Why is it not honoring to your wife if you simply always just let her choose whatever she wants? Or you feel bad to bring up things that you know needs to be dealt with? If they go in the wrong direction, so up here, look, what happened? You did not? You failed to sanctify her. Now, please link the picture, right, both for men and women. Value is about you becoming, because of how he treats you and what he does, becoming the wife and the spiritual Christian that you need to be. But to let you always have your way, to always make you happy, even if it is not good for you, is not honoring you. Understand that? He's not bringing out the value in you. He's not valuing you at all. He's just afraid of you. That's all. Do you want to choose a husband like that? No. You sure? So far, no. No. Until you are in courtship. Then you have to ask your own heart. If you find that your son was, no, I want to do this. It's always no. I want my way. Then you're beginning to realize, now because you don't have a boyfriend yet, all right? When you start working and you have a boyfriend, you have to start examining yourself and really saying, am I really wanting him to sanctify, want someone to sanctify me, or I want someone to please me and give me my way? All right? It becomes that. So that is one. All right? That is one. Okay, so remember, what is her to you? She is a help to you, right? A help suited for you. A help suited for you, correct? You are a help suited for the husband. So, husband, you're looking for a wife that is going to help you spiritually. Now, so come back to Aaron. Aaron, now, so she's supposed to help you. Now, if you are always feeling bad, and then she wants to do something, but it's not going to help the family or help you spiritually, and your spiritual aims for the family. Letting her have her way means what? And failing her in making her a help that God designed her to be for spiritual reasons in my marriage, correct? You understand what I'm saying? Now, please understand, when you honor your wife, you are also helping her to be what she's supposed to be. Understand that? Now, you work in the world, right? Some of you, not yet. Right, some of you do part-time work, okay? When your company puts effort to correct you, what are they trying to do? Where was I? Oh, this one I can ask Sherry because it's a general question. When, just say you're doing part-time work or you're working, and your company puts effort to help you, to train you, to correct you, all right? What are they trying to do? Make you a better candidate for your position, all right? But is that the end? So they can serve them better. You see, at the end of the day, there is an overall aim. There is a bigger picture, a bigger aim. You must remember that. So the company that does not train you, the company that does not correct you, the company that does not make you change when you need to, are they helping you to be better? No, they are not. Correct? So it's the same. Honoring your wife is the same thing. If you keep feeling, no, I feel bad telling Cherry to change, but one day Cherry is going to fail, correct? Because they don't help you. Because they feel bad telling you, right? And because when they tell you, they know you will blow up, and they say, then better don't tell her. Right? So husbands, understand this. The whole point is that. Okay, so you must understand what value is about. And likewise for the woman. Now, so that is one. But what else if you honor her wrongly and let her make the choices like her, lead, you make her the head. Understand that. You sin against God, So that is the main thing you have to write down. You make her the head of the home instead of you. You have to remember that. When you make the decision, always make the decision with her good in mind. What is her good? CJ, Joshua. Always make decisions with her good in mind. What is her good? Her spiritual good. Make her more godly, number one. Make her a better wife in fulfilling her role to you to bring up godly seed and so on, correct? That is the meaning of making decisions as a head that is best for her. Best for her is not she don't get angry, she get what she wants, she does what she likes. That is not best for her at times. Okay? So now you understand all this. Now you must not feel that you impose on her. Honoring your wife does not mean that you should always say, I must not impose on her. Isaac, do you know what's impose on someone? No. Means someone impose on someone. Means you say, I feel very bad. I don't want to trouble you. And then I see you're busy. I don't want to trouble you. I think you're doing something. I don't want to trouble you, okay? I don't trouble you. Don't impose what I want, what I need on you. Okay? Now, we must be courteous, we must be careful, we must be considerate. But you must not reach a stage where I must not impose on her. Okay, so for example, she wants to go out with her friends. Is it wrong to go out with her friends? But that night, you need to make sure that the family gets ready to go for prayer meeting. But I don't want to impose on her. Understand? So you must think, in other words. Now, I'm not saying that she is so busy cooking for you and then you come down. I am taught that I should not feel bad imposing on you. Then you see what she's perspiring, then her leg, one leg holding the fridge open, the other hand cooking kind of thing. I think it's alright for me to impose on you. Can you get me a glass of cold water? Alright? I'm not saying that kind of thing, alright? Obviously. But you must not feel that. Don't. I'm talking about when it is something that you need to get her to do. Now, I'm going to come to asking you for example. I'm giving you principles. Then I want to hear examples from you. Now, she is a help that is meet for you, right? She is a help for you, correct? She is a help suitable for you. So, and she gives you an opinion. Or maybe I ask the ladies now. You are a help to your husband, right? In the future, supposed to help. Now, CP. So you give her your opinion. Okay. You give him your opinion. Sorry. You give him your opinion. Now, then he thinks about it and say, no, I think we'll do it this way. Alright? And then next day, another opinion, then a whole week. Your opinion doesn't seem to count. How do you feel? And not sinful things, alright?
Definitely feeling
A bit snubbed, right? You feel a bit snubbed, okay? But how do you think you should feel? Say again?
However, just have to follow like
1 Peter 3:1, subject to your own husbands, alright? Subject to your own husbands. And also look at verse 5. The holy women of old, then verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. Obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. Not only just say obeyed, but calling him Lord. Means simply, right, alright? Well, if that is, you rather do that, then that's fine. That's fine. Now, husbands, while we ensure that we hear the opinions of the wife, they are help. And very often, they may give good advice. And if it makes spiritual sense and is better, you take her opinion because she's supposed to be your help, right? You shouldn't be a minute. Everything I'm just going to decide. I don't want opinion. Then you don't need a wife to help you. Understand? So sometimes, yes, they will help. But remember this. It does not mean that you must always implement her opinions. Please remember that. Because honoring your wife does not mean that every time she gives an opinion, you just don't think about it and I want to honor you because I respect you. So I must always implement your opinion. Now, that is why I brought up this word. Look up here. I brought up this word. Value and respect are different. Alright? They are different. If you only think of respect, thank you for choosing the word snub. I feel snub. Means I feel I'm not respected. Correct? Because God is not talking about respect. He did not choose the Greek word for respect. He chose the word value. So you must know that just because you did not implement her opinion, you did not respect her. Alright? So remember that. Because sometimes we can feel, I just, whatever she said, I will always implement because I should be respectful. Okay? Now, so these are some examples. Now, then question number 4. Now, this is the part. Question number 4. So now you understand all the principles and you give all the right answers. Now give examples. Now if there are some difficult situations, okay? So we finish this question and we are done. Can you give the examples? Okay, Josiah again. Today a bit difficult for the young ones. Okay, Caleb is staring at me. So Caleb, I think you're very excited to give an example. An example where you feel under pressure to give honor to your wife in the wrong way. You know this is not honoring. This is not the correct meaning of honor. And you're under pressure because she's angry, she's upset, she really wants something. Okay, with that. Now, can you think of examples that are like that?
If she wants to do something that's not spiritual, and then she not guilt trip.
Alright, she wants to do something that is not biblical, is not spiritual, and then she try and guilt trip you, right? She try and guilt trip you Yes, I think that's a good example. She's trying to guilt trip you and make you feel very guilty that you don't love me, right? You don't care for me. That's why it's like that, right? Make you feel guilty, all right? Okay. Now, I've heard of people say this to their husbands, all right? Or people think like that. And it's very common now, most women say that. Now, sometimes in conversations, like sometimes maybe people ask Sharon, oh, what do you do when she's outside? Then say, oh, I'm a housewife. That kind of thing to a housewife. You know, they don't know how to react. Now, and then, now some would just casually say, not to her, but some Christian conversations, sometimes you hear is, you know, the guilt trip you. You know, husband, you're not the one who stay at home whole day. You know how it feels like to stay at home the whole day? In the morning you can go out, you know, you have lunch with your friends, and then I'm at home the whole day, you know, facing your children. Facing your children. While you have aircon in the workplace and so nice, you know, or, you know, I'm so bored at home, you know, I'm bored stiff. All right, one extreme is, the guilt trip is, I can't take this anymore. Or the other extreme is, you know how boring it is to stay at home the whole day? Cook, do the same thing every day. You know, I can't take this anymore, you know. I'll go crazy, you know. Guilt trip you, right? My wife's going crazy. Right? I'll feel very bad. Now, so these are examples. She can guilt trip you. Thanks for that word, right? She can guilt trip you. Now, what else? What else? What about when she chooses? When she chooses what she prefers. Now, we also hear this. You know, like, actually I ask you all, what have you all heard or what do you think you might say? Next, Hazel. You understand the question? Give examples of where you know of women, yourself, that might pressurize, things that people can do to pressurize their husband. Can't think of any because you're very innocent. All right, Cherry? Things that you know other people do, for example. They say, I must not be like that. Can't think of any. Okay, CP, keep nodding. All right, CP, yes.
Using the children in order to sort of like, in a way, like emotionally blackmail.
Use children to emotionally blackmail you. All right? Yeah, so don't do that. All right? So some of these things are the things that you must be careful. In other words, when you're in those situations, you must not give in. You must sense, you must know. Now, actually, I heard of people who tell their husbands, like, well, you know, you've got a degree, I've got a degree, I spent a lot of money studying. Now, we have children now. Why must I be the one that is giving up my degree and you work and I'm the one who stay at home? Why don't I work? You know, or it can be like, you know, I want to maximize my degree. Some say that. I want to maximize. There's some things I want to achieve first. Grace, do you understand? There are some things I want to achieve first. Means, you know, since I got my degree, don't waste it, right? Let me be, you know, maybe I become a manager first. My aim is to achieve certain things in the corporate world. Let me achieve that first. You know, after all, you're the one who's going to, you have the degree, you work, then they guilt trip you also, right? Why are you laughing so much? You have a friend like that? Oh no, okay. All right, so, or they can do that. Or, now some say, my company needs me. You know how important I am? My company needs me. So, I don't think I can obey you. All right, they need me. I need to go. I need to go to work and leave the children. Instead of bringing up godly seed, remember you are supposed to, your realm is the home, right? To bring up godly children, and instead you leave it to childcare for them to bring up ungodly children for you, right? But you say, no, all these things, I need to achieve some things first. You know actually how difficult this is today? How difficult it is that the world have changed children as well. Now this lady, I shared this downstairs, I'm not sure with you all or not. This lady was interviewed in Channel News Asia, all right, somewhere along this line, Singapore. She's a high-flying executive in a company. And then she said, you know, I feel very guilty that I'm leaving my children to fend for themselves. They're struggling on their own. And then I'm going to work every day. And they say, I feel very guilty and I want to stop working. I want to stop working. Because I want to spend the time with them and I want to, you know, be with them and help them to really grow as they should be. As they should. And then you know what the children said to her? Mom, don't you dare to stop work. We are so proud of you. Do you understand the value system that has changed? The value of the wife. The husband has to work. That's the God's plan. And then the value of the wife, maybe I put it this way. Let me draw it this way. This side is back. Now, the home, right? The church, right? Now, grace. The future generation of children that will grow up to be godly people or not comes from where? Comes from the home. Very good. Comes from the different homes, correct? Comes from the different homes, correct? Your home, and all that. Now, but someone has to work. No. Okay. Now let me ask you. Should children, so you don't have children, right? Two unmarried person just have children and give it to the church. Can it be like that, Grace? No, right? You know, a child knows, no, how can it be? Do you understand when God says, what is the purpose of marriage? Marriage is the legitimate means to produce children, correct? Children should not be produced outside wedlock. So legitimate means is from the home. Home is made up of husband and wife. Then have children, correct? Then have children. So the only way for the church to have children is people get married. Now, because people get married, someone has to work to support the home, right? And we studied very clearly, God says, let the man provide for the home. If he doesn't, he's worse than an infidel. So God chose men. God chose men to work. And God says to the wife in Titus, be keepers at home, lovers of husband and children. All right? So understand this. Children comes from home. In home, the model of husband work, wife look after the children. Now that is your kingdom's contribution. That is your value. Your value to God's kingdom. The reason why God made you a wife is not for you to go out to work and then leave the children in childcare. I don't know how to draw childcare. Alright, in childcare, and the children will not grow up to be godly. Alright, now if God wants you to work, it means God's realm is for you to be in the secular world. Alright, I draw office. If God's aim for you is to be working in an office, then would He make you get married? Let me ask you. Gracia. Forgot your name, sorry. Gracia. If God wants you to work in the secular world, will He make you get married, have children, and then leave your children in the childcare and go to the secular world? He doesn't. Why? Because godly seed comes from family. One person is working, then for His kingdom, who is left? The mother. Understand that? Okay? Now, so for people to now say, no, how dare you, Mom? You better work. We are so proud of you. Understand, even children, even the Christian children have lost understanding. Say, Mom, I want you to work. I'm very proud of you. Alright? So, now that can put a lot of pressure on the husband as well. Correct? A lot of pressure on the husband to say, yeah. You know your position is so hard. Or you want to achieve this first before you stop working. Okay. Now, what happens if the person says, well, some of the pressure. You know, many people, today they get married, they don't want to have children. If you want to get married and you don't want to have, it's different from you cannot have. Some God does not give, that's it. But you do not want to have. It is wrong because godly children comes from married people. Children come from married people. That's why God put you in a marriage, by and large. Now, then the person says, all right, so Joshua, your future wife, says, husband, you know, I want to achieve something in my career first. So I feel that I'm not ready to stay at home. I'm not ready to have children. Okay, what are you going to say?
Yes, I think it stepped very carefully, although she's not ready for marriage.
Why, you going to tell her, well, then you're not married, not ready for marriage. But she's married to you already.
Oh,
Yeah.
married already, is it?
Oh, you didn't know, is it? I didn't know you're married to me already. You're not ready for marriage. Oh, you mean you're married to me? Now, actually, in premarital counseling, I make it very clear. If you're not ready to have children, you are not ready to be married. You must know that. You must know that. The moment you say I will, means you're saying, yes, I want, I'm ready, and that is why I want to get married now. Alright? So this is another thing that you hear very common. I don't know about here, but it's very common in Singapore. Alright? These are the things that even Christian mothers would say. I'm not ready, then yes, then you're not, like Joshua rightly said, then you're not ready to be married. Now, okay, maybe I ask your wife, you say, not fair. Alright? So why? That you get married, alright? You're married. And then your husband say, there are a few computer games, I haven't reached the top score yet. Alright? And then, my golf game, I still haven't reached that handicap yet. I'm not ready to work yet, I'm not very ready to work yet. Okay, so I'm sure you understand, right? What are you going to say? Man, you shouldn't have married me because you're supposed to take care of the home. Then why did you say, I will? Why do you say I do? Because the moment you say, I'm ready to get married to this woman, you're saying, I'm ready to care for her. I'm ready to take care of her. That's why we say, you should not get married if you're not working. Because your responsibility is to care for her, right? If you're not, then you should not say, I am. Right? So likewise, now I'm not saying you get married, then in the first month you must make sure you have a baby and all that kind of thing, all right? But you should not say, I want to delay because all these things I still want to do, or I'm bored at home, and that kind of thing, all right? So, now, then the last one. And then next time we come back and we'll carry on some more next week about then how to think, all right? Now, this other one is, now this is also, do you feel bad? All right, do you feel bad? Men, CJ. Okay. CJ, you're so tired today. CJ, you're married, all right? And then your wife, do you feel bad if your wife says, husband, go home now? Okay? After fellowship, hey, go home. All right? Or husband, I don't want to attend this fellowship or that fellowship. Husband, I don't want to go for this activity or that activity. All right? And then she says, well, I don't like those activities. Or no point. Do you feel bad?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad, but you have to bite the bullet and still discuss it.
Okay. And then you say, yeah, but I really don't want to stay back after fellowship. I just want to go home.
Yeah, and then you have to discuss why with her, because maybe she feels hurt.
I don't like church people. And I'm bored. They talk about different things as me. I'm sleepy. Hey, please note, these are real things. I'm not even making up. Right? These are things that happen, in churches and might happen in your marriage.
Yeah, maybe she has some bad days. Then it should maybe okay.
Okay, some bad days, certain days, okay. But by and large, he says, no, it's like that. Our marriage is like that.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. All right, that's not good. That's not good. Now, it is also very common that the husband doesn't decide, doesn't think, and just say, well. Now, I'm not saying that there are no exceptions. She's not feeling well, something happened, that kind of thing. But very often you also see it is the wife that decides whether to stay back or not, that decides which fellowship, which activities to go in church. And the husband feels bad. Now, one of the reasons the husband feel bad, we'll discuss when we come back the next time. I want to ask here, how would you think? Okay, so some of these things you have to realize that we are here to fellowship. All right, we are here to fellowship, and if we don't fellowship, then I'm not leading you rightly. I'm not helping you. But your wife said, "But I don't like to talk to people." Is it good for the wife to not want to talk to people? Means she will not have any friends in church? Means she will not have any spiritual, encouraging conversations? She will not help others? Others will not help her? Are you helping her to obey God's commandment to not neglect the fellowship? You are not. Alright? So remember, some of these things, when we come back the next time, you need to think. You need to think. Maybe I ask, Jennifer, who decides about what fellowship should attend, what time to go home in church? Should it be the husband or the wife? Why? Actually, maybe I need to ask you why. Why? He's meant to lead. Okay, he's meant to lead. But he's supposed to lead with caring for you. Right? Okay, think about this. We'll come back and discuss that next week. Alright? Let's close in prayer. What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts. What church dropouts say. Why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they are the most readily available results. They stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from